Beers and Banter, episode 50. It's a celebration, people. I didn't think we'd make it this far, so I've got a couple of my old mates back in the pod studio tonight to celebrate. Let's rip in. As always, we're really appreciative of the support from the guys at Gripstar Socks. Gripstar anti-slip socks feature panels that create traction that improves speed, acceleration and stability. Gripstar socks are designed to deliver maximum comfort and flexibility, featuring a breathable mesh design that removes sweat and reduces odours. Perfect for high movement sports, working on your feet or lounging safely at home. Seriously grippy. Gents, welcome to the Sweaty Box.
Thanks, Matty.
It's good to be back.
Actually, it's not that sweaty in here at the moment. It's a good time of year for
It's
a pod.
nice and cool. There's a nice smell. I can get this beautiful aroma in the air at the moment. What is that?
I think, what's that? East Coast Low. There's an East Coast Low brewing.
East Coast Haze.
It's an East Coast low.
Yeah, Beers and Banter, episode 50. So we've got Timmy, obviously one of our originals. Without Timmy, the podcast definitely wouldn't have got off the ground. So he had to be in the studio tonight. Govs has been a great supporter of the show, so I really appreciate you coming in to celebrate our 50th with us. And we had Big Dilsey, but he's a man. He's hard to find. Ever since the pay dispute with Timmy, it's been hard to get him in the podcast
tough.
studio. So shout out to Dilsey. It wouldn't have happened without you either, big fella. But yeah, let's rip in. We got some beers to taste tonight. We might try and talk a little bit of sport, a little bit of the old school format from our original days when we got the pod started. So, all right, first things first. What are we drinking here?
Yeah, mate. Thanks for inviting me back on for the 50th. It's a pleasure to be here and bring a couple of new beers along for the ride. So I've got a bit of a selection to share with you boys today. The first one's our latest core range edition. It's our East Coast Haze, which is a 4.5% hazy pale ale.
That smells absolutely beautiful.
That's good. That's a cure for Monday-itis right there.
It's a perfect Monday beer. So this is a beer that did make an appearance last year as a limited release under a slightly different name, East Coast Low. And we fell in love with the beer instantly, and the rumours started shortly after that this was going to come back as a core range, and last month it's hit the East Coast of Australia, and it's out in retailers now. Quite
a big push for you guys, a big promo.
Yeah, we've been up as far as Cairns and making our way down the East Coast. We're down to Newcastle, Sydney, and Melbourne, and I think Eddie and I the other day committed to driving the caravan to Tassie.
Yeah,
on the ferry.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good, mate. That is absolutely beautiful. That's hoppy. It's refreshing.
You're going to have to book the caravan parks in advance, though, if you're taking a caravan.
Oh, mate, when you rock up in a Black Hops caravan, they usually make way for you.
No doubt.
There's never a problem making any friends everywhere you go.
Yeah, make way for the tinny van.
So I reckon last time, or either of you on the pod, the Titans were battling. And as Titans fans, it was some sad days, but it's a little bit better. First time in a long while, I reckon the 3 Queensland teams had a win on the weekend.
Yeah, that's nice.
Broncos very, very unexpectedly beating the Roosters. Cowboys got the Knights, I think. And yeah, Titans having a win there. It's good signs. Good signs. AJ Brimson signed on for should have been 10 years, but it's a 5-year deal. That's about as good as you're going to get. Something that'll help the recruitment for the younger guys. Now they know who's settled. What do you think? Did you see that last week?
Mate, I was in Melbourne last week doing a bit of a beer tour. I did manage to catch a bit of sports and a lot of the updates, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's good signs. Obviously in the NRL there's been the big crackdown, so high shots have never been legal, so I don't know why everyone's blowing a gasket, but straight to the sin bin. Straight to the sin bin if you hit someone high.
I saw that. So how many people got binned over the weekend? There's a few, right?
Left, right and centre. To the point where we had one of our avid listeners started texting me over the weekend and said, look here, I've got an idea for you. In the NHL, when a player gets binned, they're only off as long until the next goal is scored by the opposing team. So I think that bangers, shout out to bangers. That's not a bad idea, I reckon. So because we're seeing teams get dropping down to 11 players because one bloke goes to the bin and then they all get even more tired and then the next guy's going to the bin. So it's like 13 on 11 at times. I think it'd be good once a try's scored, get them back on the park. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I would agree. I don't understand why the sudden change. Is it to try and perceive that it's safe for sport? Is that
I think it's all about future lawsuits.
future lawsuits? Okay.
I think they're nervous as hell of what's happened in America, that ex-players are suing the NFL for concussion and concussion-related injuries, that they're now, they're positioning themselves that in 10 years' time when those lawsuits start here, they can say, oh, no, see, remember this weekend at Magic Round where we started sending players off for that sort of behaviour?
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't want to own the UFC then.
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't...
Yeah.
There's a...
I mean, at some stage, sport's going to be dangerous and you're going to get hit hard. I think the players should be protected and safe, but not wrapped in cotton wool.
Yeah.
And don't leave too much of a fine line towards, an accidental hit.
I think I'm on board with the swinging arm to the jaw or to the nose, but there's been a few where like the attacking player has fallen into the defender,
Yeah.
and then the defender gets sent off, and you're like, well, he can't disappear. He's literally just, I think it was Tedesco, fell into a player, and they sent him off, and I thought, you can't, there's going to be accidents. So I would hope to see over the next couple of weeks that starts to sort of level, a bit of common sense takes over.
Normally this happens when they change the rules, that it's a bit of an outbreak initially and then things start to calm down.
A swinging arm high shot, if you go to park footy, that's a send-off or a sin bin most weekends anyway. So what I do like about it is it's, they've probably gone a bit soft in the NRL over the years. They've been too scared to send people off. So
yeah,
it's just a balance, I suppose, of levelling out. But we'll see how those rules play out. Thanks for texting in, bangers. I like that idea. Manly solid win for Bozo there last night. They smashed the Eels. Obviously, Bob Fulton, an NRL immortal or a rugby league immortal, passed away yesterday. So condolences there. What about you, golf fan?
Yeah, mate.
You had
love the golf.
Phil Mickelson this morning.
How was that?
Oldest winner of a major ever.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's what I love about golf. It's it is one of those sports you can play well into your retirement years and still win, which is really cool. And Phil's been a rock star of the golfing world for decades.
He's been doing it for ages.
And
How old would he
still
be?
got it.
50.
You're kidding.
50.
That's amazing. There you go.
So he's had a big win this morning. I was watching Formula One. I love the Formula One. It's my favourite weekend of the year. Was the weekend just passed. All my Facebook memories pop up. 6 years ago, I was in Monaco for the Formula One.
Beautiful.
I tell you what, I don't really want to travel anymore with everything that's going on in the world. But that is one place I'd like to go back to for the weekend.
Mate, we'll be travelling soon. Next year, back to normal.
You reckon?
Maybe.
But what do you think of the result?
Ricardo's struggling. I don't know what's going on there.
Isn't he? And even his comments afterwards are getting less and less exciting.
He's basically said he's going to just take a few days away. There's no point even reviewing the weekend. It was that garbage. He's just going to have a couple of days off and focus on the next one.
Yeah.
It's hard when his teammate, and he's not coming up with excuses, which is good because he's basically saying, well, he's pretty much in the same car as the guy that come third, so he can't really put his finger on what's going on.
No, when he's getting lapped by his teammate, that
Yeah.
he only has himself to blame.
It's like they've got a little switch on his car. Like they're just making the young bloke look good, but I think McLaren, I don't think they'd be trying to do that. They'd want both guys pushing up. It's not like Red Bull with Verstappen and Perez or Hamilton and Bottas. Like I think that if they could get two guys up the front, they'd be happy. So I don't think there's anything untoward going on there. I think Dan's just got to get his head around that new car.
Yeah.
And what about Leclerc qualified fastest and then didn't start? He put it in the wall. I reckon that was strategic too when he put it in the wall. He did the fastest lap in qualifying.
Yep.
And then all the other guys were on their final lap trying to get, and he put it in the wall.
After his fastest lap.
After his fastest lap.
Oh,
so that was
the
the end of the session.
No one else could do it.
Backfired though because they tried to fix the car without replacing the gearbox, and then right before the race realised we should have replaced some more stuff, and
they couldn't get him on.
They couldn't get him on the grid,
Oh,
so
you're kidding.
pole position was vacant this morning
There
or
you go.
last night in Monaco. But as close as you're going to get to Monaco, I reckon, on the weekend. Gold Coast Boat Show. How good was that?
Oh,
I saw you up there.
Yeah, mate. It's a beautiful day up there. Always like to take the fam and try and we usually catch the ferry out there just to lay down on the ambience of being on the water.
That was very classy. We didn't do that. We got the little shuttle bus.
But this year I walked in and I walked past about 12 supercars before I even saw a boat.
Yeah.
It was the Century Cove Boat Show and car show.
Well, we checked out this big the Dreamliner. Did you see the Dreamliner there?
Oh, absolutely.
The Kenworth with basically with the living quarters on the back. Oh,
That's on the wish
stunning.
list.
Yeah. It's that was a good rig. So that's we were there to check that out. But I just drooled over the boats. Tried to look at some realistic boats. There's a couple of little
I've got
there.
That was the tender. The tin.
I got a 1980 Mustang runabout that's just gathering dust
Yes.
in the shed. So it kind of inspired me to maybe wipe the dust off it and have another look at it.
Got to get out there, Govs. It's the best time of year on the water at the moment.
Yep.
But I'm going to finish this one. What else are we looking at? Oh, is it? What do you got there?
So we're going to hear what happened in Melbourne. You mentioned you're in Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne last week. So this is weekend on the calendar is huge in sporting and also on the Gold Coast. There was a lot of events going on, but it's also Good Beer Week, which is down in Melbourne, held every year, and part of that is the Great American Beer Spectacular, GABS, and also the Australian International Beer Awards, which is the largest beer competition in the world for keg and packaged beers. So it's a big deal. There's this year they had over 2,500 entries from 21 different countries.
Wow.
So it's a really big deal on the calendar.
So when it said international, it was truly international.
It's the biggest international beer awards that they've got, and luckily here in Australia we're back to somewhat normality, so we were able to put on a full gala.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's like rocking up to the Oscars. It's spotlights, it's red carpet, everyone's suited up to the nines, and hopefully walking away with some bling.
Yep.
And you guys got some?
We got some, yeah. We definitely got
Perfect.
some. So we walked away with 5 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and 2 bronze.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Which is the best haul we've ever had.
Yep.
And did that include the new beer, AWOL beer?
Yeah, so we had AWOL, which is a new little side project for us doing sour and barrel aged beers. So we picked up a gold medal for Pink Mist, which is our raspberry saison. And mate, the list was so long I can't remember them all.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So it's really good. I was just saying before we started, I travelled to Sydney last week, walked into a random bottle shop out in Bella Vista or Balcombe Hills or somewhere out that way, and Black Hops was on the shelf there. So obviously really, really getting some coverage out there.
The word's starting to spread.
Yeah, I'm loving
They're catching on.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are we drinking here?
So the
An
second
American IPA.
Yeah, the second beer for this evening is our Hoppin' Boots. So part of the beer community in Australia is a collection of all the women and girls and females in brewing and beer.
Yep.
And they call themselves the Pink Boots Society. And they do a lot of wonderful stuff in terms of increasing female presence in brewing, which is traditionally, more recently, but been a bit of a blokes game.
Yep.
So that's great. We're getting lots of more female representation in brewing jobs and in beer. So they also get together once a year and make their own hop blend, which they call the Pink Boots blend.
There you go.
So we had a few of the girls from our team part of that selection committee, and they came up with the hop selection and went into this beer.
That is beautiful.
Awesome.
I'm loving it.
So it's an American style pale ale.
So what's the difference? You got American style and Indian, like an Indian pale ale. What's the difference there?
So there's so many different categories of pale ales and lagers. It can be a bit difficult to keep up with them all. American style pale ales tend to be representative of the hops and malt that go into them. So they usually have like American style hops.
Yep.
Then we have India Pale Ales, which are not from India. The style has a bit of history, and there's some good old wives' tales as to where the name originated from. But the generally accepted story is that the British colonies used to send beer down to India, and it wouldn't survive the long trip too well. So they beefed up the hops and beefed up the alcohol, and it tasted a lot better when it got to the other end.
Just making it last the journey.
Yeah, just to kind of increase the preservative effect of the hops and the alcohol.
Yeah, righto.
And in the 70s, it kind of made a bit of a recession as a style. And ironically enough, we now drink the India Pale Ales for their freshness. So we want those really fresh hop flavors. But they're essentially just a stronger version of a pale ale.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. I love it. I mean, you just love that hoppy sort of taste that you get. I mean, but most of these beers, as soon as you're cracking these cans, I can smell it. And I just love that smell.
Yeah,
we need to bring that into
Oh, it's amazing.
Our listeners at home aren't going to appreciate
No,
that.
they're not. They're not. So go out and get some, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Mate, I love these goblets that we're drinking out of. They're certainly helping with the aroma.
Yes, that's
of,
right.
Of the hops.
Yeah, I think the idea of those glasses that they reactivate as you're drinking it, would that be right? I think that's what the ribs are for as you go down.
So you've been on a fair expansion. You've been pretty busy since I saw you last. I think last time I saw you, we were talking about Cat Wincher. But since then, you've got Black Hops 3 or Black Hops Brisbane.
Yes.
And the AWOL beer. So just charging along.
Yeah, we never really sit idly for too long. We've always got a few irons in the fire and projects on the go. So last time we met, we'd just opened BH2 and we're settling in, and we got to do Cat Wincher with the Sydney to Hobart.
Yep.
Late last year, in November, we took over a little brewery in Brisbane that was called Semi-Pro Brewing, which was owned by some mates of ours who were looking to get out of the game. And we had always wanted to do something in Brisbane. Brisbane has always been a really big support base for us. So we took over, we acquired Semi-Pro and rebranded and relaunched it under the Black Hops banner.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's cool that we've got a tap room and brewery now in Brizzy, so all our supporters up there don't have to travel down to the Goldie.
So whereabouts in Brizzy is that?
We're in East Brisbane, so
Just near the Gabba.
not far from the Gabba.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably a good pre-game venue.
Yeah, that's right.
It's definitely a good pre-game venue. Then a mate of mine, he's the head brewer at Easy Times, which is literally across the road from the Gabba.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
So you can crawl your way back to the Gabba and definitely have a good time.
I
Sounds
like it.
unreal.
And it seems like a lot of the brewers kind of work together. It's not like you're all competition. It's sort of funny. Would I be right in saying that you're all sort of...
Yeah, it's a very unique industry. I've never experienced it in any other. There is a sense of community and respect in brewing, and there is a lot of collaboration and cooperation.
Yep.
It's not we're not all sitting around holding hands singing Kumbaya.
No.
Like there is fierce competition, and I liken it to like a footy team. We definitely want to win, but we respect the game.
Yep.
And we respect our opposition.
Yep.
Yeah, you do see a lot of collaborative brews, or at least like see different brewers visiting different competition, I guess. And in a lot of industries, you definitely wouldn't see that. In our industry, you wouldn't see two suppliers of a product.
Well, no,
getting
but I mean,
together.
it's different products, right? I mean, at the end of the day, look at the size of the market in beer. And I don't even know what it is, but if you were to look at the amount of beer drunk and then I don't know what the percentage of craft beer would be, but the market's huge. And I mean, there's a lot more and more people moving towards, I think, a craft beer. And if they're in, let's say, I'll be in northern New South Wales, if they're down there drinking at a brewery, then when they come up here, if that's what they like, they're more than likely to, sort of visit breweries up here or drink craft beer. I mean, that's the one thing I suppose, as someone that drinks craft beer all the time, I love trying different and new beers and sort of seeing what's out there. And, that's probably one of the good things about it.
Problem is, you spend your 20s just buying the cheapest volume beer, and it's sort of good when you realise that there's a whole lot of different beers and a whole lot of different tastes out there.
Yeah.
So you could try a different beer every weekend, I reckon, for the rest of your life, the way they're going, and
you'd still never get through it.
You'd never get through it. But there's definitely a shift. I think I've spoken about it previously on the pod. I think that's people trying to associate with something local. In this globalization world, people want to support local, and they want to affiliate themselves with a local brand. So
100%.
Black Hops is 400 metres from my house.
Yep,
So
the Gold
I
Coast.
like the fact that that product's coming straight out of there, supporting local people, local jobs. I don't know. I think that's probably a big part of it. And I can't remember whether it was you, Govs, or that's how it used to be in England. Like every pub had its own beer, or
Yeah, every town had, its
This
local
idea of-
brewery. We
yeah.
had our local butcher, our local bakery, and the community had a connection with where it got things from.
Yeah.
And I think, when industrialization started to take over, we didn't realize what we were giving up.
this
And
idea of mass production.
yeah,
like-
there's a big return to that, which is really exciting. And the cool thing is it's something that we have that the big guys can't. So it's a very big value add to us. And even just touching back on the community around brewing, there is it is a competitive space. However, I think there is just an underlying love for beer. Like all of us brewers, we make this stuff because we love it.
Yeah.
course,
So we
yep.
love going to someone else's brewery and trying their beer. So it's hard to really have any animosity towards your competition.
Yep.
This
That's very hazy. That's obviously a hazy.
Yeah, so we're on to the next beer I've brought along. So this is our latest limited release. This is Caribbean Haze, which is a fruit and rum soaked hazy
amazing.
double IPA, and that's a bit of a mouthful.
Double IPA.
It is. So it's
Oh, here we go.
7.8%. We've got
you're sleeping over, Timmy, the way you're going.
we've got citrus fruit, pineapple, mango, coconut, and we infuse that in Mount Gay Black
rum.
Barrel rum.
This was my favourite beer of 2020. This got my number one vote for I think it was in the Gabs.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
That's beautiful.
Could be just a can too. I love the can. Isn't that funny? I remember walking into my uncle's, man cave 30 years ago, and he'd collected all the different beer cans. And really, they would have been, all from fairly big breweries.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you'd get an awesome collection if you were collecting
right.
cans. There's a different
Yeah.
can every month.
Yeah, I know
There's a lot of work going into that.
when we started out, we used to get letters in like handwritten letters from these old blokes who collect beer labels and beer lids and those
Yeah.
things. And back then, they were on top of it. They knew, these guys are bringing out a new beer. I'll write them a letter. Now there's fucking 50 new beers coming out every day.
Yeah. It's crazy.
They wouldn't keep up.
No.
No.
They're down Storage King now, renting more space just to get for the beer cans. No, I like it. I think it's obviously is that a completely different person, or are you guys coming up with the cans, or you got a marketing department coming up with the cans?
We definitely don't have a marketing department, but we have a lot of talented people we work with.
Yep.
So we've got a few different designers and artists that we use,
Okay.
and each one of them kind of has their own style. So this one was done by the same designer as East Coast Haze, which is Dave Heavyside. He actually works out of a building next to HQ,
Yeah, righto.
and we've known Dave for years, and we've always known he's been to graphic artists. And as soon as we started working with him on some labels, he just brought some really cool shit, and he's the easiest guy to work with because we can give him a simple brief, and the stuff he comes back with, we barely have to touch.
Yeah, that looks amazing. That's brilliant, isn't it?
It's I guess never judge a book by its cover. How many people are grabbing a beer though at the moment just because the can looks cool?
I mean,
I would. Guilty.
yeah. Well, I mean, you go shopping with your eyes first. So.
Yeah, for sure. You don't get to taste it before you grab it out of the fridge.
No.
So I'm assuming it's important nowadays to have a recognisable can, and then obviously these, when the specials, your special releases come out, they've really got to stand out on the shelf, don't they?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, that does. And then, see, the things that I like on the front, that you'd see double IPA, 7.8%. I'd be sold.
Yeah.
That'd be me. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying that. You're coming with me.
I think that's the good thing with you were talking about the craft beers earlier, Tim. I think the good thing is though, you can now grab a 4-pack and go to a Barbie. Because you're roasted by then. You've tiny fat
100%.
before.
Yeah, at that percentage,
You don't
definitely.
need to drink 24.
Definitely not.
You still can though if you want, but
No, I mean, but if you compare it to, say, look at wine. I mean, you don't drink. This isn't a beer that you're sitting there sculling and
Yeah.
sculling and sculling
that's
like you're
right.
doing, say, a 4X. But I mean, what's a decent bottle of wine cost?
$9,
Yeah, if Matt's shouting.
12.
So if you compare it to that,
If it's not 2 for 20,
yeah,
Tim, it doesn't
that's
get
right.
drunk around here.
But if you compare it to that, I mean, you're getting more out of a 4-pack of beer, and you can enjoy it.
yeah,
It's no different to cracking a $30 bottle of wine.
yeah,
That's the
100%.
way. Well, that's how I justify it, and it lets me sleep at
That's how
night.
you sleep.
But it's really the truth. I mean, you don't sit there and drink, half a carton, or that's you'd grab a 4-pack. You could sit down, like you said, you might watch the footy.
Yeah.
You'd enjoy that, and then that's enough. And compared to, say, a bottle of wine or something, it's the same. And I think a lot of people would look at that and justify it that way. That I'd rather have the flavour, enjoy a nice beer, than try and get something cheap.
Yeah, drink some water, six
That's
waters.
right. Yeah, exactly.
So, Tim, obviously, the overwhelming fan mail was, where's Tim been? What's
Yeah.
he been doing?
I could imagine.
Getting back on the pod.
Yeah, the whole 2 people.
Matt, you're rubbish without Tim. Bring back the science update. Have you got a
Bring
science update for us this week?
Well, I think you flicked a message the other day about we've got the lunar eclipse coming up. Is it the 26th, I think?
This week.
This week. So that's, for those that don't know, so obviously we have our phases of the moon each month. And then every few years, maybe 2.5 years. So the way it works is the moon's always getting half lit. Okay, but as it goes around,
But that's just like graphics.
that's correct. That's the
just-
hologram. Are
that's
we
just
back there
set
again? Are we?
We haven't had a good flat Earth
No, we
discussion
haven't. No.
for 12 months.
No. So the way the lunar eclipse works is, and that's what's on the 26th. If hopefully the weather's good, it's touch wood. We've got a wooden, not a big wooden desk. Hear that?
Yeah, you
Touch
like
wood.
that?
We should see that on the 26th. Now, the difference there is that we're on the elliptical orbit of the moon, and with the Earth and the Sun, you think, well, why don't we get that every month?
Yeah.
It's because it's about 5 degrees off. So the actual moon sits slightly off center to our orbit. So we are constantly seeing half of that moon lit. But from our angle, we'll see either the full moon, the new moon, which is no moon, where we're completely behind it, or we'll see the different phases. What happens with a lunar eclipse is it actually aligns with our orbit, and we will completely shade the moon. That's what's different about that
Okay.
and, say, a new moon.
Why is it going to colour funny? Why is it going to be different?
Well, because it sits in our shade, so it'll still get. What will happen is the sunlight will actually wrap around the atmosphere,
Yeah.
and you'll actually still get a glow. It might be like a reddy pink
Yeah.
sort of color. So that's the difference. Whereas with a new moon, the actual sun is behind the moon. That's why you don't actually see that. So that'll be the difference. It's completely opposite to us. You'll actually get a reflection of. You still get some sunlight filtering through the atmosphere, and that's what that color will be.
Yeah.
So it's worth checking out.
So why? Tell me, does the moon spin itself?
At the same rate as it turns. That's why we only ever see
I
one
was
side
going to
of the
say,
moon.
why do we only ever see?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's because it's
Oh,
2D.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I was.
right. It's flat. You're onto it.
You're hearing all these lies the same as I am, Govs.
They're onto us.
You're
We are. The
round
cat
Earth.
is out of the bag. Pull the pod.
And then,
Yeah.
and then there's more. There's been more Tic Tac sightings of aliens off the coast of America.
I like that.
Have you
That's
seen
exciting.
those?
No, I haven't seen that.
Mate, it's all happening.
It's all over YouTube.
It must be real then, because they won't let just anyone on YouTube.
Exactly.
I think of the the vetting. I mean, it took you at least 5 minutes to create your YouTube account, Matt.
Yep, yep.
So based on that,
Yeah, well, the fact that no one watches my videos, what does that mean?
well, maybe we should do more alien stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This pod will be called,
Beers
Ali-
and conspiracies.
aliens, beers and
Oh,
conspiracy.
I like it. Govs is onto it.
Done. Beers
And this is why,
conspiracies.
I tell you what, see, look at the quality and how all these ideas that are starting to come out. We've enjoyed a few good beers. We're relaxed now. And
I like to call craft beer like creative juice.
creative juice, that's right.
Do you know what? We shouldn't start a pod until we've had 2 or 3.
Well, there
that's
you
that's
go.
where we went
There's
wrong.
another good idea. Put
Yeah.
that one down. That should be
2
highlighted.
or 3 beers.
Yep, perfect.
So, did you put a deposit down on a boat?
No, I just spent all my money on a new canning line, unfortunately.
That'll do it.
Yep.
So we're doing some expansions up at BH2. We've got a new wang bangled Italian canning line coming, which is about a $3 million project, which wouldn't get you much at the Sanctuary Cove
I
Boat
would have
Show.
went with a boat.
But it will get you a lot of beer.
Yes.
So how's that going? Is that up and running yet? I'd imagine.
It's currently getting built, so it's we're getting elements of it built in Italy and Spain, and we should be receiving it later this year.
And then you'll have the joys. I won't mention a brewery that I was at, but I was at quite a big one. Oh, they'd call themselves a craft brewery, but it's probably leaning towards not anymore. And it was the first day they turned on their canning line, and it was a disaster. There was cans shooting out everywhere and alarms going off. So there's a fair bit of refinement in I suppose, getting them going.
Was that because you'd helped with the design?
I don't know. It seemed like every single section we walked to, as soon as we got there, disaster would strike. So not long after we did a little kind of walk around, we exited stage left. So, but yeah, I suppose it could take a little bit to get them going.
Yeah,
a bit of fine tuning.
There's always a honeymoon period. We've got a really good team. We've got a good maintenance and engineering crew. So fingers crossed, we'll put the best foot forward. But we'll see. I've done this before and said the same thing.
You'll be fine.
Always
a little
seem
bit
to
of
have
fine tuning.
Do you have a construction manager, or like you always seem to have like a project on the go?
Yeah, so we've always been kind of managing it ourselves. We have a pretty good division of labour between the three of us. So Dan, Eddie, and I are still very much the three mates making the beer. We're just kind of overseeing the three main departments, I guess you'd say. But we're getting to that point in our business. Like we've got almost 70 staff now.
Oh, wow.
So we're handing over as much of that responsibility as possible, and
Yeah, that's hard.
creating new positions and new career paths for people.
Yeah, that's
So every
awesome.
beer we drink goes towards a new job opportunity, Matt.
I'm trying.
We're going to do our bit.
I'm doing my bit.
I'm happy to do my bit. Create employment on the Gold Coast.
Absolutely.
It's good, but isn't it? I mean, it's pretty amazing that something like that can have 70 jobs on the Gold Coast. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, so we get a lot of support through the government in terms of just moral support, because we fund a lot of the national budget through our excise tax, but also we create an incredible amount of job opportunities, which are these tourism / production / hospitality jobs. And a lot of them are now popping up in semi-rural areas. So they're creating these good job opportunities outside of the main population hubs, which is, really attractive in the world that we currently live in, where we're having, housing crises and population booms.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next, 12 months. Obviously residential prices are through the roof. We've got everything. All the money's going to be spent on infrastructure to keep things moving. I don't know. We've got the debatable issue down here at the local tram line that is going on. We've got, obviously we spoke about it before. Are they going to open the borders? We're seeing overseas it seems to be an all or nothing. You've either got no COVID or you've got all the COVID, and it's putting. We were talking about F1 before. We think, we're going great in Australia. There's no possible way the F1 won't happen here. You're now starting to see some of the international sports people go, I'm not doing 2 weeks quarantine. You jam that.
Yeah.
So they're already talking about Australian Open next year being in jeopardy unless we open our borders properly. So it's going to start to have ramifications. So it's going to be real interesting economic climate over the next 12 months. We've just started to see, obviously, all the, the March, the JobKeeper, is that all finished now? Is it?
I don't know. I'm not sure where. I think it might be still in a much smaller effect, but we definitely got through last year really well because there was a lot of support through the government, which is now starting to dry up. So the next 12, 18 months are going to be interesting.
Did sales go up or down during COVID?
For beer?
Beer.
Through the fucking roof.
Yeah, that's what.
Kegs would have gone down.
Yeah,
you stopped making kegs and would that be right?
We sat around in January last year talking about how we weren't selling enough kegs. So we had a little focus with our sales team to focus on on-premise sales, like keg sales, because they've generally been considered a safer market. and we were slowly heading towards into a can-heavy business.
Yep.
And then the next month, every pub in the country shut.
Yep.
So we shit canned that idea, and we put everything into cans.
Yeah.
And
And
we still didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if
Whoever was in charge of cans was like, "Yeah, I told you kegs were shit."
and we didn't know if our business was going to survive the next 2
course.
months. We didn't know what was going to happen in the world.
For
Yep.
sure.
But it turns out everyone stayed at home and drank craft beer.
Yep.
So
Yep.
God bless you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. No, that's fine.
And $9 bottles of
we
wine.
we appreciate the acknowledgement. We really do. It's nice to hear that.
Keeping the economy moving.
We did our bit, Matt. See that? They did appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I had to take February off. I did that much work on that topic that I took February off just to recover.
I knew there was someone that appreciated what I was doing during that time. That's good.
Well, what else we got? I'm trying to think what else, other sports. I didn't see a lot. I was at the boat show. Did a bit around the house.
Mate, the Northern Rivers Academy won
Did they?
the under-14s.
Shout out to the boys.
Yeah, shout out to the boys. So that's winning streak now. They haven't lost yet. They're a pretty strong team.
What are they playing? Kickball?
Kickball,
Yeah.
football.
Yeah, righto. Govs, you watched a bit of basketball on the weekend, you said?
Yeah, caught up with a bit of basketball. Eddie's a big b-ball fan, big Golden State Warriors supporter. So he was fretting for a few days there in Melbourne. The Lakers just pipped them on the first playoffs.
I watched Space Jam on the weekend. Does that count?
That definitely counts. Which one? The old one or the new one?
Yeah.
Is the new one out?
I don't know.
I think that's blasphemous.
No, Matt,
I don't
it'll be
know
the
why
old
they
one.
needed to remake that one. But yeah, I think LeBron's doing a new one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know something I worked out on the weekend?
This will be good.
Every marketing thing you see for Space Jam, he's got Space Jam on his jersey. But they don't actually wear Space Jam on their jersey when in the game. They're the Looney Tunes squad.
There you go.
It's a fun fact that
You've
you
heard it
didn't know.
here.
Is that all the beers, or is that what do we got there?
That's all the beers now.
Do you know what do you know what I wanted to see out of you tonight?
Yeah.
Where's old Greg?
Oh, old Greg is still in quarantine. We're not
Is
allowed
it?
to sell it
Oh,
until
really?
the end of Gabs.
Oh, really?
But I'll make sure I drop a can off to you before that.
Oh, Mighty Boosh. You ever seen the Mighty Boosh, Tim?
No.
Oh, people, do yourselves a favour. Get on YouTube now. After you finish watching this episode, type in old Greg.
Okay.
He's going to hurt you real bad. You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
I've never drunk Baileys from a shoe. I haven't,
Mate.
no.
Oh, do yourself a favour.
Okay.
The Mighty Boosh, some great British comedy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Come across a good show the other day actually called Friday Night Dinner. Have you seen that?
No.
If you like the Mighty Boosh, I reckon you'd. Oh, it's completely nothing like it, but British humour. It's got one of the guys out of the Inbetweeners.
Yep.
And it's basically their family Friday night dinner every Friday night, and just it's always something goes wrong. Get around it. Before we go, because I've run out of things to talk about, but
It's unlike you.
Gripstar, as always, great supporters. So I don't know if you boys have got your Gripstar socks previously, but the couple of pairs of Gripstars here. Make
Mate,
sure
got 'em on right now.
have you?
Yep.
Oh,
Always.
jolly, hear that? So make sure it is that time of year. Make sure you're representing the right colours on your Gripstar socks. Folks, where can we find you, Govs?
You can find us all over the country in all major bottle shops, good boutique bar outlets,
And
all over the social
socials?
media. You just Google Black Hops or Govs, the brewer, you'll find me.
There you go. Timmy, the Aussie astronomer. I've been taking some great pictures lately, actually. How are you doing that? What's the go with those pictures?
There's a mix. So the ones that you really have the Milky Way pop, they're actually they're a long exposure, but they're a stack of different.
So more CGI from the Round
No,
Earth
it's
Society.
it's a true representation. But what happens is you need multiple exposures to say get the foreground and the background. So they're actually a combination of probably 10 or 12 photos, all taken at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not just one long exposure.
It's not, because it's impossible to get a exposure on everything at night like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
So if I want to get the foreground and the background, and you've even got to change focus sometimes. So it's definitely a representation of what's there. I'm not mixing with the colours, but it's a stack of photos. It's also for noise reduction,
Yeah.
because you have to shoot at very high gain, what's called ISO in photography. So in that, it creates a lot of digital noise.
Yeah.
And to avoid that, we take multiple of them, stack them together, and that helps in that noise reduction. So if I was to just do one photo, crank the, it'd be like your audio, just cranking everything, turn it right up, you'd get this real grainy, messy photo. So to do that, you take multiple photos at a lower gain, lower ISO, and then we bring them together, and then that creates that sort of beautiful photo. We get the colours, and it's just amazing.
There you go, folks. There's a cure for insomnia. So if I'm joking, I love it.
That's perfect.
If you want to see,
I started to drift off myself.
if you want to see some of Timmy's photos, at Aussie Astronomer. Is that it?
That's it.
Righto, folks. You know where to find us, at Beers and Banter on all the platforms. Do me a favour, like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. Tell those weird friends of yours that aren't on social media that you've got this good podcast. Got another great podcast coming next week, so stay tuned. And thanks, boys, for coming in.
Cheers.
Thanks, Matty.